Hi, I'm Hubert Centers. Welcome to Absolute Wealth's weekly edition of Centers Strategies. Let's take a look at this week's strategy. In this week's strategy, let's go over how to tell if the market is acting the way it should be. So you've probably heard of correlated markets. In other words, when this market goes up, this market should go down. Well, correlations are great and they work quite often, but they're only as good as their last trade setup. All right. So what I mean by that is correlations work until they don't. In other words, this market could be going down and this market should be going up. That's cool as long as you keep those two markets coupled together. But sometimes they'll decouple and the correlation effect will decouple and then just go farther and farther apart. But it's still a really good way to gauge if normal market activities are actually taking place. So two of the best markets that you can look at to see if this is in effect is you can look at the ES, the S&P 500, so ES, and you can also look at bonds. So on the left we have bonds, on the right we have the ES. So what you want to look at is if bonds are going lower, is the indexes going higher? And in this case scenario, they are. Now, sometimes that's kind of hard to see. So one thing that you can do to make it a little bit easier is you can put both of these on a chart, and I've already done that. And you can also change them from a bar chart or a candlestick chart and just change them to a line on close. And then you can pinpoint and you can see like, all right, here's where we had the big nice sell-off in the S&P. The bonds started to rally and they were basing. The S&P was basing around the lows. These were basing around the highs. Here you've had a nice little sell-off in the S&P up top. It sold off starting here at 11.11 and sold off until about 11.24 date-wise. That same time, bonds stayed nice and high and tight, so the correlation still affect. Now here's a little weird one, right? So here it bottomed and the index futures rallied really, really hard and the bonds just pulled back a little bit. So it's a little bit of a decoupling effect where now you have the bonds are actually holding up very well with this rally in the S&P. So you'll probably be okay by going long bonds at this point too. So remember, the next time you're confused on where the market's going and what it's doing, put up a chart of the S&P 500 or the ES and a chart of the bonds, the @US, and you'll be able to tell if the correlation trade is in effect with the index futures going higher and the bonds going lower. And just remember, sometimes they will decouple. They'll come back over time, and it's your job to figure out when the decoupling and the coupling are taking effect so that you can ride those trades a little bit longer. Good luck, hope it helps, and I'll see you in next week's video.